Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S3 32-34 Olaf's Saga by Pippa Goodhart, Robin Lowry. Story facts, activity, go bananas. Chapter 1. One night, Hal and grandfather had sat up late together in the soft flickering candlelight. Long after the homestead was hushed with sleep, Godfather's dog Freya had given a great heave, and one after another, 4 little puppies had come out of her. Grandfather didn't name the puppies straight away. Wait and see if they take strong hold of life before we name them, he said. One of the puppies did die that night, but the other 3 were strong, and Freya licked and loved them and let them feed from her. But by the time the sun rose, grandfather himself was ill. The fever came on grandfather, and he lay by the fire on the wolf skins, the same grizzled gray as his own beard, and he shivered terribly. Hal's uncle came when he heard. They all prayed to Odin All-Father to save grandfather. They killed his horse in offering to the gods. But the great god Odin wanted grandfather for himself, and so he died. They buried grandfather together with his horse, and his great sword and his axe. They killed the Freya too. Hel went away and covered his ears and scrunched his eyes tight shut when they did that. But grandfather had to have his animal to help him in the afterlife. What about the puppies? Asked Hel. They are not needed, said Big Uncle Ivar. Hel thought that Uncle Ivar blamed the puppies for keeping grandfather up on a cold night and making him ill. Hal saw Uncle Ivar to go to the barn and come out again with the 3 little dogs. There were stones tied with cords around each puppy's neck. Hal watched his uncle stride down to the water's edge and throw the puppies into the sea. But as soon as Uncle Ivar had gone, Hal rushed down to where he had stood, quick as a fish in the icy cold. Hal darted down, searching the wobbly water and stony sea bed for Freya's puppies. One day, one of them was fighting the wall, struggling against the weight of the stone that held it down. Hal reached for that puppy, slipped the cord from around its neck, and lifted it into the air. Then Hal waded ashore and ran with the puppy clutched close. He must find a safe secret place for them both. When Hal didn't know was that he was being followed. Chapter 2. Clutching the limp, wet puppy, Hal hurried up past the homestead buildings to the place where the sides of the fjord rose steeply. He climbed, panting, zigzagging up and up, heading for the big rock that seemed frozen in mid-tumble down the slope. The rock was big and gray and wedge-shaped. Hal called it Thor's hammer, after the weapon used by the god of war. He felt safe there. A sudden scatter of stones killed behind Hal made him whip around. Gutrun was Hal's big cousin and his friend. I saw what you did, said Gutrun, hurrying close. Is it still alive? I don't know, said Hal. Gutrun took the puppy from her and wrapped it in the woolen folds of her tunic. She rubbed it and spoke to it and blew on its face. It moved. Keep doing that, urged urged Hell. The puppy opened its mouth and made a tiny sound. Let me have a go now, said Hell. Please, Gudrun, it's my puppy. It's a boy, said Gudrun. What's his name? Hell thought of a grandfather, strong and kind and funny. I'll call him Olaf after grandfather, said Hell. Uncle Ivan isn't going to let you have him here, said Gudrun. But my father might take him. Our dog is getting old, but he is mine, said Hell. Then how will you keep him? I'll hide him, he said. Hell was shivering with cold now. A woman with a small child, perched on her hip, was calling to him from outside the long house below. It's my mother, said Hell. I have to go, then leave Olaf with me. I'll care for him, said Gudrun. Hell handed the puppy over. I'll be back for him soon, he said. He set off down the track. Chapter 3. However, did you get so wet? Asked Hell's mother when she saw him. I've been looking for you. I have news. Boat, said Elfron, wriggling on her mother's hip. Boat? Asked Hell. Am I to go fishing? No, said his mother. We are to leave. Your uncle says that we must leave here. Why? Where will we go? Hell's mother put a hand on his curly wet head. Hell, love, when your father did not come home, your grandfather was happy for us to go on living with him. But now that grandfather is dead, Uncle Iva, as his eldest son, inherits everything. Iva wants to take a wife and have children of his own. He cannot support his dead brother's wife and children as well. He must go. But where to? asked Hell. To England. They needed women and children to make homes for the men who are already there. Think Hell will have a new life in a new land, away from the sadness of all that has happened here. Hell looked up at her. Do they need dogs? In England? Dogs? Yes. Would it be good to have a faithful guard dog like Freya? Hell's mother looked up to Thor's hammer and saw Gudrun holding something. Oh, Hell, now I understand Freya's puppies. Just one of them, said Hell. Against your uncle's word, perhaps it is as well that we are to leave. Come, let's get you dry, said his mother. Then you had better hurry to your uncle's jobs and confess about that puppy. It'll need some food. Will we ever come back here? Asked the Hell. No, said his mother. She quickly turned away and headed towards the dairy, with Elfron running after her. Chapter 4. As Hell sat by the fire that evening, he gazed at the carved posts that held up the great longhouse roof. They were carved up and down and around with creatures and patterns and gods from the great sagas that he had heard so often around evening fires. Hell loved them. When he was little, he had watched his father's knife, stroking sweet-smelling shavings from the wood to find gods and winding snakes and dragon heads. He had watched father carving Ran, a goddess of the sea. Now she had taken father for her own deep down below the sea. The carving of Ran seemed to come alive now in the flickering firelight, frightening Hell with thousands of the voyage that he must make across the sea. Those carvings made Hell remember his father's frown as he worked. Was a frown that opened into a smile when he looked up and saw Hell watching. In a way, the carvings meant that Hell's dead father still had a kind of life in the homestead, but now Hell must leave them behind. He must go and live in another place. Hal leaned across to his mother and asked her, "What is England like?" Hal had heard stories about grandfather and his father before him had sailed to England and Scotland and Ireland. They had fought fiercely and killed many and brought home treasure and slaves. Old Cuthbert, who worked with the homestead horses, had been taken from England when he was Hal's age. Cuthbert was different from the rest of them. He believed in only one God. He spoke strangely and seemed sad all the time. Was that what all the English people were like? Will the people fight us like they fought grandfather? Asked Hal. No, said his mother. Our people have been settled for so long now that we are no longer enemies. Cousin Inga is there. She is married to a native man, and they tell me that she speaks the language and behaves more like one of them than one of us now. Good, whispered Hal. He knew it was shameful, but he did not want to use a sword on another person, at least not until he was a fully grown man. He asked his mother, "Do you think that I could carve roof posts for a new home, like father did here?" "You can try," she replied, "but carving is a great skill, and it takes patience. I want to show the story about crossing to the new country," said Hal, "and later I will make posts for the old sagas too." Hal pulled a log from the pile of firewood to practice on. He took the knife that he kept in his waist pouch, and he began to whittle away the bark to the bright white wood underneath. He worked hard. He worked the head with rods and smell. The bark to the bright white wood underneath. He worked the head with the nose and ears, and rubbed it smooth with the thumb and held it to the firelight. It didn't look very much like Olaf, but you could tell that it was a dog. My post will show Olaf's saga, decided Hal. Olaf, born from his mother, then born again from the sea and kept alive so that he can protect us and the new country. Chapter 5. Over the weeks of summer, he was kept busy preparing for the voyage. Over those same weeks, Olaf grew from a dumpy, fluffy puppy to a lanky young dog. Whenever he could, Hal and Gudrun would take Olaf to the fields to train him. "I want him to be as obedient as Freya was," said Hal. "He'll be a guard dog in England and he'll help us catch food. I have heard that over there they make great buildings in honor of the gods," said Gudrun. "They say that it's a warmer place and not so dark in the winter as it is here, and land lies flat for sheep and cows as far as you can see." Gudrun clutched her hands together. "Oh, I wish that I could come with you, Hal. I'll be stuck in the same place for my whole life. You are lucky, but I'll never see this homestead or a fjord again," said Hal. "Will you forget it?" "No," said Hal. "I'm making a roof post from one of our trees that'll tell the story of it all. Uncle Iva cut me the post and I have already begun carving. Grandfather with the great sword and Olaf being born." Gudrun flicked a long plant over her shoulder. Am I in the story? She asked. Am I on the pod? There is room for everything, said Hell. I am going to star on the ship soon.